Now here's a question you will at first glance definitely want me to answer. Which electric vehicle is 3 times more deadly to drive or be driven in than a petrol car? There's now a call for an independent review from the various government transport on safety organisations into whether motorists have been pushed to change away from petrol power far faster than they can cope with. This is Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave, and this report will shock you. Please subscribe now while you still can. Well, the media latched on to battery fires very early on. Yes, some EVs caught fire, and when they did, they were almost impossible to put out. That issue, putting out lithium battery fires, has largely been eradicated by the switch to LFP battery chemistry, which is very much more difficult to catch fire in the first place, coupled with better firefighting techniques and equipment from the fire service. They now have dedicated fire blankets that simply cover and smother the fire until it goes out, safely, all on its own accord. But the answer to the question is not EVs. Well, the latest shock data from the Department of Transport states absolutely clearly and plainly that driving a hybrid, including PHEV, is 3 times more likely to result in a fatality than driving a petrol or diesel car. Well, the diesel cars themselves are a tad safer than petrol. Only a tad, though. Now, Steve Gooding, director of the RAC, stated recently, "It's high time we had a specialist resource to address road safety risk." Now, he was referring to the fact that in the past year, 122 people were killed in collisions involving hybrid vehicles. That includes PHEVs. They're still hybrids, compared to 777 deaths involving pure petrol cars. Hang on, 122 versus 777, surely petrol cars are more deadly. But no, there are more than 20 million petrol cars on the UK roads, but only 1 million hybrids of any sort. That's pure hybrid, mild hybrids, full hybrids and PHEVs. So adjusted for numbers, each million petrol cars on the UK roads result in 39 fatalities per year. Each million hybrids, PHEVs, result in 122 fatalities per year. That's 3 times the number of fatalities per million vehicles. Now, finally, the one you've all been waiting for, or is that dreading, pure EVs, known also as BEVs, number 2 million on the UK roads, so proportionally compared to petrol cars, they would have been expected to produce 39 fatalities. Compared to hybrids, they should have experienced 122 fatalities, yet the actual number is 12. Yes, folks, you heard it here first. Not my data. This is from the Department of Transport. Driving a hybrid or PHEV is 3 times more likely to end in a fatality than driving a petrol car, and itself 10 times more likely than when driving a full battery-only BEV. I guess that makes it, 3.5 times safer than petrol. So before we dive a bit deeper, which car would you rather drive right now, purely on your chances of surviving the year alive? A petrol car causing 39 fatalities per year per million vehicles, a hybrid causing 122 fatalities per year per million vehicles, or a BEV causing 12 per year per million? Answers in the comments down below. So looking at the initial findings, the first comment is that purely considering the complexity of the various cars, hybrids and PHEVs are by far the most complicated technologically, having both petrol and electric power, plus complicated linking systems, and EVs by a million miles have the simplest. And the question remains, are drivers being forced into hybrids prematurely? Now, one caveat here, this data refers to the UK roads and UK motorists. Data from different countries may vary. So let's see if we can find what's causing this. Specialists state that hybrids of all types can make them harder to control and at the same time increase their susceptibility to fires during serious crashes. But few mention the fact that most battery fires are caused by overheating batteries, and hybrids have large batteries located in very close proximity to a very hot internal combustion engine and red-hot exhaust pipe. Then add in the fact that the battery side of the powertrain can send high electrical currents straight into the petrol side, posing a danger to both the occupants and the emergency responders following a collision. Well, the fire service is just waking up to the realisation that following a collision of any sort, hybrids require very different training and equipment to either full petrol cars or BEVs. You see, BEVs cannot send high electrical currents into the petrol engine because, well, they don't have one. Nor can the petrol engine catch on fire for exactly the same reason, which could cause the battery to overheat and burst into flames. It seems the hybrids and PHEVs are becoming the villain of the day. Now, a single study might be biased, so let's take another that uses a very different set of data. This is the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. That's a mouthful. By the way, epidemiology is a scientific study of health-related events in specified populations, and being hit by a car is certainly a health-related event. They studied a peer-reviewed, meaning sensible science-based, paper spanning 2013 to 2017. This will, and it indeed does, produce different data. They found collisions with pedestrians were twice as likely to being in EVs and hybrids compared to petrol and diesel vehicles in rural areas, and 3 times more likely in urban settings. Or just a reminder, this was back when EVs did not need an audible warning system or sound. That came in 2021. Could that indicate that the warning sounds caused a huge drop in pedestrian collisions? Well, back to the paper. They monitored 916,713 incidents involving casualties and found the average pedestrian casualty rate per 100 million miles of road travel was 5.16 for EVs and hybrids, and 2.4 for petrol and diesel. It stated you're twice as likely to be hit by a petrol car than an EV based on proportional miles covered, irrespective of how many EVs are on the roads. They concluded by stating that road traffic injuries are the leading cause of death for children, young people, so keep your kids safe, and 1 in 4 deaths are pedestrians. They concluded that walking was still the safest form of transport, as long as a car doesn't come and run you down. So what else is going on? Well, despite being almost totally silent at low speeds, EVs and PHEVs running on battery mode are no more likely to hit pedestrians than petrol cars. It seems people still follow the old adage, stop, look, listen, look again, then cross if all clear. Anyway, EVs do require some sound system to alert pedestrians that ignore this sage advice. Unless, of course, they are deaf and don't bother looking either. Yeah. Nor are heavy EVs more likely to kill or seriously injure hitting pedestrians. In general, EVs have a much lower bonnet line. They don't have to cram in a half-ton block of engine and gearbox. So pedestrians in a collision, it seems, gently head up over the bonnet, roof and boot before dropping onto the hard road surface, rather than being hammered to death by a solid frontal area nearer the size of a brick building, or far worse, take the route of least resistance and are forced down under the wheels. But the assault on hybrids and PHEVs is only just warming up. Others have taken to challenging their green credentials. The manufacturers are lobbying exceedingly hard and expensively to convince lawmakers they are green. But lawmakers are now opening their eyes and saying, hey, this is just greenwashing. Even in electric-only mode, hybrids and PHEVs emit far more CO2 and pollutants than they're being told. That's because the WLTP test assumes that at the start of every single journey, you have a totally full battery. Now, that's about as likely as getting bitten by a lettuce. Charge at home, drive to the shops, and manufacturers would have you believe that you charge up the battery at the shops before you head home. Most PHEV batteries never ever get charged at all, but even in full electric mode, many PHEVs are so heavy that the electric motor is not man enough to get your PHEV away from the traffic lights at the speed you demand without quietly firing up the old donkey. In fact, the official WLTP figures state they save 75%, while in the real world, where we live, on average PHEVs emit just 19% less. That's CO2 per kilometre. In other words, they cheat or lie, depending on which way you look at it. Even worse, if 90% of all PHEVs never ever even charge their battery by plugging it in each and every single night or journey, they've just been caught out in the latest version of Dieselgate. This is PHEVgate, PHEVgate, whatever. Well, they must have this data, the real data, I mean, not their made-up lies. The EEA, the European Environment Agency, states that PHEVs produce, on average, 5 times the CO2 and pollution than what manufacturers claim, and up to as much as 8.5 times. They state that even going up a hill on electric-only mode starts the engine in nearly all PHEVs. Electric only accounts for less than a third of all the journeys, far less if you get rid of that stupid cheat they use where every single journey begins with a full battery. The result is not only more pollution, but an extra €500 per year in unexpected hidden fuel costs. But the icing on the cake is that the average price of a PHEV in the UK, France and Germany is €55,700, October 2025, which is 15,200 higher than the average price of an all-electric BEV. Not looking so good for PHEVs or hybrids. Now, add in that the UK government has also spotted the lies and has ordered all the benefits of being green, like a very low benefit in kind for company car or salary sacrifice drivers, be removed and drop down to match that of pure petrol and diesel. Now, they did cave in and introduce a staggered withdrawal spread out over the next 2 years leading up to April 2028. Then, wham, stand by. Now, fleet managers are now being urgently advised to ease back on PHEVs immediately because a 3-year lease taken out today with a really low benefit in kind for the first 2 years likely sees a massive tax hammer after April 2028 on a car you got first 2 years previously. Take an ever-popular BMW 330e PHEV. In the first 2 years, the 9% tax banding for a 40% taxpayer costs them £1,734 per year tax for the first 2 years. Then from April 2028, that'll go to £3,468. Wow, double wow. An extra £1,734 per year in the final year in tax. Now, it's my guess that all this is building up against the PHEVs. Oh, by the way, hybrids never got such a tax break in the first place. This is PHEV only. So in balance, PHEVs will never be quite as bad as petrol or diesel for benefit in kind. But then the choice of fully petrol or diesel cars will be significantly reduced in 2028, getting ready for the EV mandate to tick up to 80% of all new cars sold by 2030 and 100% by 2035. Good luck finding a good value for money PHEV in 2028. Okay, it's time to lay off. PHEVs have never been featured on this channel as a safe or good alternative to a full BEV. They were only ever, at best, a way to ease doubting people into full EVs, to get them to see for themselves that a PEV with a supposed EV-only range of 40 miles was actually quite adequate for daily commuting, and that a full EV with 200-mile range was fantastic. Trouble is, the industry saw them as that perfect alternative to full EVs that they preferred to make because they could make a healthy profit on a PHEV that they couldn't make on an EV. The propaganda machine roared into top gear. Rest is pretty much all lies. Go EV. The latest cars are fantastic, and by the time it needs replacing in 2 or 3 years' time, you'll have a few years of actual experience and knowledge driving an EV, and the choice by then will be simply mind-boggling. Now, I hope this has helped persuade just a few people. PHEVs are not the answer to any problem that you have today. I'm Dave.